Today's episode is focused on workwear. This is for you if you're a professional of any kind, but particularly if you work in law or in a corporate work environment. You can now dress with flair and personality in the workplace and definitely still be taken seriously. There's no need to stick to really classic, dull, corporate traditional clothes like a black, grey or a navy suit. If you want to mix it up and enjoy what you wear day to day, then this is a great episode for you. I was joined by Lisa Marinelli, who is an Instagram star. She's a corporate lawyer. She's a mum of two. She's a board advisor, and she really pushes the boundaries when it comes to workwear. She enjoys what she wears. She doesn't wear traditional workwear clothing, but she's really successful at what she does, and she loves her style. She's got her head in law, but she's got her heart very much in fashion. It's a great episode today. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome back to the Style Stories podcast. And today I am joined by Lisa Marinelli, who is a corporate lawyer, a content creator, and a mum of boys like me as well. I think she's got two boys. And I really am excited to have her on. I'm going to explain why in a minute. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. And pleasure's obviously all mine.
So I invited Lisa on because we're going to be talking about power dressing today. So, how you can be a corporate lawyer and have a more traditional job like that, but still be taken seriously and enjoy fashion. So you can have your head in law, but your heart can be in fashion, which is something I have heard Lisa say before. Yes. She's also known for her hashtag as well, which is buy well, not often. And really unafraid to re-wear things, because you see a lot of people on Instagram, and Lisa has got, thousands of followers over on Instagram following her style, non-traditional corporate lawyer style, and a lot of these influencers will wear, or content creators, never wear the same thing twice. But I know that you are very much big on buying things that have longevity, and you will definitely wear things again and again, which is great and really refreshing. But really the main topic of conversation today, before I ask you to introduce yourself, is about how you can be in these traditional roles and enjoy fashion and still be taken seriously. And that's the real point that I really want to get across today. So welcome, Lisa. Would you mind giving us a bit of background about how you got to be a lawyer and then created your Instagram account?
Absolutely. Thank you very much again for having me. I guess how I became a lawyer is sort of the usual routes, more standard routes of becoming a lawyer. As most lawyers will have had experienced, you kind of I did an undergraduate degree. So I did my first degree at home in Toronto. And then I subsequently came over to London and did my postgrads here. So my law degree and then my master's. And then from there on, I did my, as lots of lawyers will know, my training contract. And I started working in a law firm. And I was there for about 7 years before I moved in-house, which is when I moved into the video gaming industry about 6 years ago. And then from there, I was in-house. I still am, I guess. I'm still there now. So I guess sort of where my sort of Instagram content creation came out of was more about the pushing the boundaries, I guess, of corporate styling. So I've always done that. Even back in the day when I was an intern at like an engineering consulting firm for my dad in the middle of university, I was a receptionist, but I would still very much push the boundaries and wear kind of, the things that made me happy. And that might be wearing, a very A-line, huge, puffy floral skirt because that's what I loved at the time, or something otherwise. But it was always sort of in me that I really loved kind of doing this and not just not kind of conforming, as it were, to whatever the standard was at the time.
Well, it's conforming, and actually, law is obviously one of the oldest professions, and it's definitely one of the more traditional professions. And if you sort of Google workwear, what should I wear as a corporate lawyer? If you put that into Google, what would come up is you should wear a suit. You should be suited and booted, and that's kind of what's expected. Do you think that it's a bit more relaxed because you're in gaming? Do you think that it's like a bit more of a relaxed
Absolutely.
environment?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's 100% accurate. It would say most definitely industry dependent. But even when I was in a law firms, and this is sort of before COVID and before working from home became really a reality, it was very much dependent on sort of how I felt. So it was, most lawyers in law firms, not so much these days, but certainly before, was Monday to Thursday, you would have to dress in a suit, and or sorry, you'd have to dress sort of formally, and then Friday was your casual day, casual Fridays, as it were. But even then, your casual Friday would be jeans. The jeans you could wear, but they can't have any holes in them. They have to be quite tailored and fitted. You can't overextend yourself in terms of size and width. And you can't have logos. So really, in reality, it's just swapping your trousers, your suit trousers, for jeans, and then wearing kind of couldn't wear a hoodie, for example, to Fridays at the office. Or if you did decide to wear that, you would always have to bring a change of clothes in case you need to go and see a client of some sort. So it was very, very prescribed. And when I was there at the very beginning, when I first started, I loved dressing that power dressing way because it does give you a sense of belonging. It does give you a sense of uniform, that you kind of worked your way through all the various different realms of school, because you do have to go to school for quite a long time before you get there. It's kind of like a long sort of a long journey. And then when you finally get to the law firm, you start working, you feel kind of empowered. And so you want to fit in a little bit. So I did buy all those suits and I loved them, whether it's a suit, the shift dresses. But soon you get kind of tired from wearing the same thing, I guess, as everybody else. And you kind of want to have more individuality. So then I think that's when you start to really come into yourself. And I did start in law firms, really started pushing the envelope quite soon. And then definitely now I would say that industry dependent. My industry now, you could wear a hoodie, you could wear a crop top, you could wear a mini skirt, you could wear whatever it is that you want. But the creativity is the most important. The output, I guess, of whatever it is that you're doing ends up becoming the most looked at, rather than how you're dressed.
I mean, it's interesting. It's definitely relaxed since the pandemic. I mean, I think that was happening anyway, and it started in Silicon Valley. So it was like many years ago. It would be like a perk to the job if you were able to wear like more relaxed clothes, because people didn't want to go in their suits. And I'm not talking about being in law. I'm talking about sort of that IT kind of arena. And then people started wearing hoodies to work. But I mean, even if you were allowed to wear a hoodie, Lisa, would you wear a hoodie to work?
So I have worn a hoodie to work, but I wear it with
Right.
a blazer. So I won't just wear a hoodie to work, if that makes sense. And I think there's always a way to dress up something that is casual, and that's kind of what I think my style is. It's actually a great juxtaposition. So if I wear a hoodie, I'll wear it with heels. So it's just a way to really kind of individualize my own personality through how I wear it. But as a sort of I mean, this is my own professional rule, which means absolutely nothing to know anybody else. But for me, there's certain rules that I would not do at work, and that's just because I find that because I'm a lawyer, I always want to exude some sort of professionalism, as my sort of, I guess, career dictates. And one of the things would be not wearing things that are overly casual, or sloppy, I think is probably the better word for it. Not saying a hoodie is sloppy, but it can be sloppy if you wear it in a certain way.
100%. I mean, I'm yeah, 100% about that. But I mean, I've posted things on LinkedIn before, and I've had people saying you should be able to wear what you want. You shouldn't, you could, if you want to wear a t-shirt and a pair of shorts to work, then you should be able to, because does that really affect how you do your job? And some people just don't see the value in it.
Hmm.
But, what the way you've explained it is, it gives you that air of professionalism, but it's also how you feel, isn't it? That's what's really important. So not dressing because you're expected to a certain way, but it's elevating you in some way.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. And it doesn't have to necessarily be confidence, right? It's not just, although confidence is certainly what I take away from dressing the way that I feel most, I guess, proud to be in. But certainly it is that sort of, on the flip side to that is feeling very professional in whatever it is that I'm wearing. So whether it is a shift dress, be end heels because that's what you see on Suits or whatever it is on TV. But then, or it could be the opposite way where you feel that, well, actually, it's just because that I just feel really good in it, and I will ultimately perform my best because I'm comfortable, I'm confident, etc.
Just a quick word from me, your host. I'm popping in here to let you know that if you are struggling with your wardrobe, there are lots of services I offer to help with that, and you can work directly with me. So if you are opening your wardrobe each day, wondering what to wear, you've got a really important job, you've got a job interview, something has changed in your life and your wardrobe doesn't speak to who you are today, take control, get in touch with me. Drop me a DM, I can help with either my online virtual 60-minute styling session, or you can book an in-person service with me if you live in the UK. I'll come and edit your wardrobe, take you shopping and refresh your wardrobe for the coming years. And so it reflects who you are today. So just check out my website, lisagilbystyle.com. Now back to the show. So you've obviously got this creativity about you. So that's your kind of creative outlet, I suppose. Is that? But
Absolutely.
where has that come from?
Yeah. 4 years ago or so, I can't remember. This is certainly after I had kids. I started just posting a bit more online, and it was really my outfits. And this is when I was okay, so maybe older than that, maybe 5, 6 years ago, when I was going into law firms. I started posting sort of my law firm outfits, and that is your more traditional. There has to be dresses. There was no jeans. There was no denim. It was all very stuff that I thought that I could wear at work. And sometimes it did sort of break that sort of restrictions. I would wear some things with logos, which is something that you're not necessarily supposed to do. And I would wear things that are probably a bit more asymmetrical on the neckline, which was also a no-no. So maybe it
Oh,
showed a little bit more of my, a bit more of my shoulder or a bit more of my clavicle. I mean, it was just a bit. I'd sort of you're edging towards the level of the border of basically being a little bit risky, I guess, as it were.
yeah.
But ultimately, it was just enough. So it wasn't enough where I would, get myself into trouble because I was also quite junior. I was junior to mid level, so I didn't want to also get in trouble with partners at firms, and just it wasn't a you want them to concentrate on your work and not be looking at also bringing up things that you're wearing. It's not helpful for your ultimate career, I guess, your career journey. But yes, anyway, so I started posting that. And then a few years ago, I just got a bit more traction, and then it kind of took off. And I guess that coincided with also staying at home a little bit more, which meant that I could wear what I wanted. And then going into an industry that really just is very much embraces your creativity and does not care about what you put on the outside.
I mean, I think as well, we're sort of, I don't know if you agree with this, but because I've got a couple of clients that work in New York law firms and they're a bit more traditional. Do you think here in the UK, like people
Mm.
will dress up a bit more at work, or, what's different, do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, think for example, like lawyers in New York, for example, they are what's considered big law, and we have our sort of equivalent here in the UK as well. But I would say that here, I mean, I don't know, we're not, from what I see at least, it's not necessarily a given that you need to be dressed a certain way anymore. And I think before it came with the prestige, that came with the sort of reputation of, you work in this, and therefore how I think about you is maybe stereotypically in a suit and a tie every single day, and you're kind of pounding the pavement, you work long hours, you're always kind of go, and it just kind of goes along with that entire that the uniform goes with the profession, and whether or not you kind of like it, it kind of takes you away because that you are a lawyer that has worked a long time, has worked really hard, and this is sort of the, I don't know, the pathway to acceptance, I guess, of within the profession. So maybe it is a bit more there, but certainly, I mean, I think the UK also has an element of it too. Maybe not as much, but certainly we do.
Yeah, I just think it's just such a relief that people are actually, that you can bring your personality to work now.
Definitely.
And what about like, do you feel like you've got like quite a clear work and weekend wardrobe, or is it quite sort of
No.
blended in as one?
Oh, totally blended. And that's what I love about being able to express yourself now at work, is that my wardrobe is one huge sort of, play around, I guess, playground for me for any sort of day. And of course, there will be certain things that I think about practicality wise that, if I'm going to an event, a content creation social media event in the evening, I might wear X. And then during the day, but if I have to also go to the office, I might wear Y. So there is some sort of, a mix there. But ultimately, I love that I can wear everything in my wardrobe for any given day. And that is how I dress, because that whole thing going back to buying well and not often is because that I came up with that just because that I really, really want to be able to invest in the pieces that I wear. And obviously we wear them over and over again, but also in different ways. And that's where I think that my style kind of comes through a bit more, is because that I will take whatever it is that I buy and I will wear it multiple times and in different ways. And I really, really, I emphasize that so much in my the way I dress, and that is also in different elements. So for example, to the office, or if I have some evening event, which is typically fashion events tend to be a bit more glam than the office. So those, being able to wear it to both is sort of wearing it multiple times, getting the most use out of it. And yes, you might spend a little bit more, and I'm not gonna I love a good designer, but it's going to be worth it, because of the amount of times you'll reach for it, I hope.
Yeah, it's playing with things, isn't it? I mean, I love the way you describe your style, which is sort of similar to how I like to dress as well, which is like juxtapositioning. So, having something casual and then making it into something smarter. So, wearing an oversized blazer with a hoodie is a good example of that. Wearing a really
Yeah.
pretty dress with some, trainers or whatever, just something that's opposite. So making
Yeah.
opposites work together. But I think,
Yeah.
in back in the day, we would have a wardrobe that had a section for going out to an event, and then we'd have a section for work, and then we'd have a section.
Mhm.
And now it's definitely, we can wear more of our wardrobes day to day, which is hopefully less wasteful. What would you say? What would be your sort of die-hard go-tos in your wardrobe? What can you be without? I think you're a blazer lover. I'm a jacket lover. Um,
Oh,
what
yeah.
keeps your
Yeah.
wardrobe, feeling like you? What sort of pieces do you love?
Yeah. Um, Always, you're right. You hit the nail on the head for me. Always a blazer. So a blazer that I can wear anytime. So that would mean like in the office, or versus, going out socially, or what, or even for my social work. And then obviously a pair of jeans. Those, like, I am a loafer jean t-shirt blazer kind of person. That sort of combo will work in any given circumstance anywhere. And that's what I love about that whole buying well, is because if you invest in those pieces that really do work hard for you, you can wear them in every single element of your life. And we're all multifaceted these days, but I certainly, and I'm no exception to that. So I think, from my side, it's so important to be able to mix and match those things. But a good blazer, so everybody might have a black blazer, but I'm talking about that really cool like plaid blazer that you got from, I don't know, a vintage store in whatever it is that you found in whatever country. Like, that's a sort of super special piece that you will have, and it works because it could work for you with a hoodie, maybe to the weekend, on the weekend, or maybe you can wear it with like a button up shirt, for example, to the office, if that's what you kind of if that works for you in your life. But yeah, but definitely, I am, above all, those are the things that I need, and I can kind of create, I hope, a decent outfit out of any one of those elements, or
Are
together.
you a dress person? Do you really reach for dresses or
Mm.
not really?
Actually, it's interesting. We had a conversation with my agency, other people in my agency. We were chatting about this on Friday, because the question was about floral dresses and whether or not we individually, there's some women within the agency that really love floral dresses, and there are some people like me who just are not as keen. That's just not my style. I have a few, and I will say that they are very versatile once I have them, but I certainly would not reach for them. It has to be the right mood, the right time. I do understand why they could be appealing, but yeah, but I'm definitely more trousers, shorts. I love a good pair of jorts, and or a pair of pedal pushers. Even I just they're, to me, it's about wearing. I'm always about wearing that casual mixed with the more formal. It creates so much interest in the look, and it's so unexpected, and that's what I love.
I just think it's the best outfit formula. It's kind of like a recipe, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
you know, it's it's
totally. Yeah.
it's a balance and it's a recipe. So make it interesting by throwing in something unexpected, you know,
Hmm.
like the wrong shoe, like unexpected shoes or whatever it is that you can throw in just to mix things up a bit and just give
Yeah.
that interest. I know, you know, you're very good with accessories as well, which is important, you know, to
Yes.
have sort
Yeah.
of some nice.
Yes, I was going to say that the accessories point is actually probably the thing I need most, rather than the actual clothes themselves. It's a thing that really, I think, sets out the rest of my outfit, is that you could wear that, that formula that I mentioned, the blazer, the t-shirt, and jeans and loafers. But what makes it different to me is how you wear it, and how I wear it. For example, will always be a rolled up sleeve. I'm quite short, so for example, I'm 5'2", and to me, always showing either ankles or wrists really help make me look taller. And it's just, and I don't know why, but it just does. It draws like the attention a little bit further away, rather than if you were to wear the blazer up to my wrists, then it looks a bit stuffy, and that's why I just kind of, and also not as effortless as well. So things like that, things like wearing the right necklace, or and I'm a big fan of like earrings, but not like, it doesn't need to be massive earrings, unless, or massive colorful earrings, unless the, for example, dress calls for it. But I am very much into sort of wearing the same jewelry all the time, but a mix and match of the same jewelry. And they are usually, pieces that I do invest into. So I definitely spend a lot of money on wearing on these, but I also get a lot of wear out of them. Every single piece that I have, I've worn so many times.
Well, like you were explaining there as well, it's the you know, intentional dressing. So you roll up your sleeves. It just makes you look a bit more intentional, and
Yeah.
so do accessories, because it just gives you that kind of finishing touch,
Yeah.
doesn't it? So paying attention to that is just going to. None of my clients will ever say to me, "I want to look really trendy. I want to look super super fashionable and trendy." They will say, "I want to look put together." You know,
Mm.
that's kind of the, you know, like basically individual but put together, you know, not like everybody else. I think the reason there's been a bit of a, not backlash, but, you know, there's a lot of chat about floral dresses at the moment, and trainers, is because it's, you know, it's so sort of mainstream, and it's something
Mhm.
that everybody is wearing at the moment. So I think if you want to be a bit more individual, get your accessories, roll up your sleeve, do, you know,
Yeah.
do something that's a bit more, you know, that just makes you look like you've got dressed with intent. As
Yes.
you're 5'2", I was going to ask you
Mhm.
about where you shop. I know you like a bit of pre-loved.
Mhm.
Where do you shop for pre-loved, and what are there any particular designer brands or brands that you recommend, being 5'2"? Do you shop on the high street as well? Lots of questions there fired at you.
Yes. Pre-loved, I loved pre-love. Um, I would say, actually, I'm a big fan of eBay. I've worked with them as well, on my social media side, and they have very much. I mean, they're the old school ones, and they've done a lot to really sort of encourage confidence in buying with confidence, as in ensuring that it is genuine and authentic. So I find that there is just so much more in terms of marketplace. The marketplace itself is so vast, and I'm able to find really things that I never thought I would find. So recently, I've bought a bag. I got a bag from there, which is like a 2005 LV collaboration bag, with the cherries on it, with the Takashi. Just those are the things that I really sort of look for when it comes to secondhand stuff. When it comes to pre-love, though, I do love buying, and I do a lot of online shopping, as I think we all do now. But in person or online, what I do look for is just basically the brands that I love. So, for example, like old 2000, early 2000s Prada, I love that stuff. Or even just newer Prada too. It's just that I also know the value of it. So I do try, when I look online, for example, I do try to filter through all the designers that I do love first, and see if there's anything there before doing that sort of more bigger browse, I guess. And that really helps me kind of find the gems, and the things that I really do love, and things that I probably didn't know existed. I just I kind of found whilst searching through the designers I love. But yes, I think, in terms of what I kind of shot for as a, sort of a shorter, I guess, a shorter girl, I'm not, I wouldn't say that there's anything out there that is particularly good for short people that I found, as in people who that I won't need to, for example, cut off the hem, which inevitably always happens. I think that's my problem. I don't have the tall girl problem, which is, nothing's ever long enough. So I end up having sort of always to alter. And I think an alterationist is probably your key in your life. And I have somebody that I love that comes to my home and helps me sort of nip and tuck as it, everywhere that I need it to be. And that really helps, I think, getting kind of to a wardrobe that you're really happy with. Other pre-loved sites. So I like also Sign of the Times in Chelsea. I've done
Oh,
so much
yeah.
work with them in the past, and they have, I think they newly refurbished. I haven't seen it myself, but they have, I've gotten some fantastic gems. Also, it really depends on like the people who are dropping it off, right? If you look at sort of the sort of the people in the area, or the kind of the, I guess the affluence in the area, you might be
Yes.
that might dictate a little bit more of who's going to drop off their pre-loved items there, and that usually helps. I used to work near Vogue House in Hanover Square in Mayfair back in the day, and there's a Salvation Army that's there, and the Salvation Army that's close to Vogue House used to have the most amazing things, as you can imagine, right? Because all the people who would receive, whether it's gifts, whatever it is, at Vogue House, they would drop off all their stuff that they didn't want
Wow.
or need anymore at the Salvation Army. And so you end up having like a Salvation Army that you wouldn't expect to have all these incredible items, end up having like designers that you would just, that you could only dream of. So I think that's really important, is just to look at like, where the potential, the Oxfam or whatever it is that you're looking at is, and then you can, and then that probably dictates what's around there.
Oh, definitely. Get into the affluent areas, Notting Hill, Holland Park,
Hmm.
those sorts of places. They're going to have some real finds, aren't they, in the charity shops?
Exactly.
And yeah, Oxfam's online now as well. You can look
Oh, really?
online
I
at
didn't realize. Okay.
Oxfam, yeah, and you can find some gems there, but eBay obviously is the go-to. But definitely, that's a good tip as well. Get things tailored. If you are 5'2", it's
Mhm.
that you basically, it doesn't cost that much, to get something cuffed or something hemmed, and then you've got like a bespoke wardrobe. It's sort of almost couture. It's been made for you. It's been adjusted to you. So that makes absolute sense. And then I was just going to finish off, Lisa, with asking you, because Alison Bornstein, do you know the stylist
Yes.
Alison Bornstein? So she's really popularized. That's hard to say, that word. Um, using 3 words to describe your
Mhm.
style, because it is actually, I think it's a really brilliant way to rationalize how you like to get dressed, and just sort of think to yourself, something's off. For example, I don't like little ditzy prints because they feel too girly to me. So girly is not
Mm.
one of my go-to words. I like a bit of edge in my outfits.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if you've thought about this, and if you have 3 words, how could you describe your style in 3 words?
Um, I have a couple. Let's say, I would say effortless is where I go for, but we all know effortless takes effort, right? I mean, but the look I'm going for is effortless. But I do think
Yeah.
about it a lot, so there's definitely a lot of effort behind the doors. But that's definitely the whole rolling up the sleeve thing. Making sure that it's a sort of slightly tucked, but not too tucked in. That's all that stuff is that effortless vibe. My hair, like everything goes to it. Like it's just you kind of I want it to look like I didn't really sit there and curl it for hours, but but ultimately it's kind of just thrown up, and I woke up and this is kind of how I look. So that's probably the look I'm going for, but taking obviously taking a while to get there. And then I guess confidence is probably confident, and confidence I guess is both things that I really kind of strive for in my dressing. And I do find that I think half of what I wear in a photo looks that way because that I feel very, very happy in it, and I feel very confident in putting it out there. Whereas sometimes I know that I will put out an outfit that I just, it was fine at the time, but it wasn't probably my best outfit. I'll put it out there and it won't just, you can see that it's just changes. Like I don't look as comfortable in it. It just doesn't look as good. And just, it may not even get posted, for example. So I definitely think confidence usually is my best accessory. And then I would say the last one I'd say is probably, I want to take two of yours, is that the sort of the juxtaposition, I think, is pretty key for me when it comes to my style. So I don't know if that makes sense. The contrasting, the edginess,
Yeah.
that sort of thing really helps. And I just really love the unexpected dressing. It's just, so for me, that's really
Yeah.
important.
I think for me as well, that unexpected dressing, that recipe is the best recipe. Just,
Yeah.
have something, opposites attract.
Yeah.
So,
And anybody
and
can do it, really, right? And like that's why it's so amazing, is that like literally you can just, like you said, you can wear a skirt with a pair of trainers, and like how comfortable is that? And also like how cool do you feel afterwards when you're just like you're happy, you're comfortable, but also you look like you put thought, and it was done on purpose. It wasn't just because you couldn't find the right shoes.
it was intentional. Exactly. That's
Exactly.
amazing. Thank you so much. So, just to finish, so anyone listening who works in a corporate environment, don't think you have to dress in a corporate, straight laced kind of way at work, because you don't anymore. You can bring your personality to work. And please do check out Lisa's Instagram. Where can people find you, Lisa?
I guess on Instagram, my Instagram is Lisa Ing Marinelli, which is, I always get lots of different variations of my name, but it's Lisa Ing Marinelli, Ing being my maiden name and Marinelli being my married name.
Brilliant. Check out her amazing outfits. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Style Stories podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
A huge thank you to Lisa Marinelli for joining me on the Style Stories podcast. That was a really great chat. Have you had a look at your work wardrobe lately? Could it do with a bit of a shake-up? Are you still wearing clothes that you wore a few years ago? It's really good to get your wardrobe to reflect who you are today and just have a bit of fun when you go to work, because we all spend a lot of time at work, so you might as well enjoy what you wear when you're there. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, please remember to hit the follow button, and I'd be so grateful if you would leave me a review as well to help me get up the charts. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.